Good evening, and welcome to the Mosquito Fire Community Information Meeting for Sunday, September 11th. My name is Nathan Judy, Information Officer for California Interagency Incident Command Team 5. This evening you will hear from members of our Unified Command and our Corps operators. After the formal briefing, we will address questions submitted online. If we don't get to all the questions, we'll answer those questions in the chat afterwards. The current fire acreage is 46,587, 10% contained. 2,397 personnel are working this fire. This evening, we're going to hear from, first up, Operations Section Chief Landon Hack. Landon?
Thank you. Landon Hack, Planning Operations, with an update for you for this evening. I'm going to start with just a little bit of orientation around the fire here. So on the north side of the incident, this is the Forest Hill Divide going up towards Westville. Moving out east, Last Chance, coming down around the southeast side of the fire, Stumpy Meadows, Quintet down in this area, Volcanoville over here. First, I'm going to talk about the north side of the Middle Fork of the American River in Placer County, up along the Forest Hill Road, Forest Hill Divide area. There's still some work being done in underneath Todd Valley Trailhead Estates. This is contingency preparation for some things that I'll speak to on the southern end of the fire here in a minute. A lot of lines and control lines going in here to reduce the likeliness of something coming back across to the north side of the river from the south. As we move into Forest Hill, the line going down behind Forest Hill here goes all the way down to the river, and this is all got line in it and has been holding no westerly progress to the fire. Moving up into Forest Hill proper, up towards Michigan Bluff, there's been no progress, no fire movement to the north towards Forest Hill Road. This is all holding, and crews continue to do mop up in here, working in and around trying to get further depth in that part of the line. Moving up from Michigan Bluff, going to the northeast, up along Forest Hill Road, the fire made a pretty good run up towards Westville, in between Forest Hill Road and Deadwood Road in that drainage today. The crews up here in this division are carrying fire with it, trying to stay ahead of it and get around in front of it and start work coming down on the easterly side. Out here to the east towards Last Chance, they're still working on building line, kind of tying in, trying to find those access points where they can get line down to these very, very deep and rugged drainages and trying to find those opportunities to do so. The fire does continue to progress to the east, basically all the way across this side. Down into Division Mike on this side, kind of more of the same up here. They're looking for ways to get across these drainages and or around them to get out in front of the fire, building primarily indirect line out here. As we come around the bottom down towards Stumpy Meadows, the fire has not progressed to the southeast in the last probably 12 to 24 hours very much at all. They're taking advantage of that, trying to figure out, again, ways to get this line put in, get it improved, continue to hold it, and keep it from progressing further up the south end of the Rubicon River. As we come around to Quintet, this line in here is considered contained. All the forward progress has been stopped here. There's been no fire growth any further to the south towards Quintet, between Quintet and Stumpy Meadows. Around this piece here, this line has not progressed today, but there's still a lot of hot material and ash in there, so we're not quite ready for that to be considered contained. As we come up into Volcanoville, along Volcanoville Road, this black line here represents contained fire line where the fire progression has not moved to the south anymore, and we don't anticipate it doing so. Coming off the end of Volcanoville Road down Buckeye Point towards the middle fork of the American River, the crews are continuing to work this area down here. There's dozers have put line in, and then their crews have put some hand line in that goes into the middle fork itself. And they're currently working on bringing this fire around and making sure we get this last little piece here locked in to stop the westerly progress on the southern side. I said I'd come back and speak to this under Todd Valley. So the concern there is until this is completed and we're comfortable with this not coming out under any sort of wind event or our daily winds, we're going to continue to prep and work in this area to be ready for that if it does.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. Next up, we're going to bring our fire behavior analyst up, Jonathan Pangburn.
Good evening. Jonathan Pangburn, fire behavior analyst. How did we get here? We had some pretty rapid growth initially when we had clear blue skies and prime conditions for the fire to move. And then the past day and a half or so, the fire just kind of sat. We all know that it was stagnant air. It wasn't moving much. We all got to suffer with the consequences of the smoke settling in the basin of this fire area. However, this afternoon that started to clear, and into tomorrow and beyond, we have a new air mass coming in. So the wind will primarily still be coming out of the southwest, pushing in this direction toward the northeast. It's not going to be strong, but it's going to be enough to clear the smoke out, and that breathes new life into the fire environment. What's really driving the fire, though, is the historically low fuel moisture and the receptive availability of those fuels or material to burn. Up above Chicken Hawk Ridge and into this last chance area, we really have a little bit of alignment with that wind to continue that spread up to the northeast. As we continue down into Mosquito Ridge and past the American River and down into the Rubicon, slightly less alignment with the wind. However, again, critically receptive fuels available to burn and very ready and primed. You might recall that we were in that historic heat wave recently, and the vegetation and the down material, logs, etc., are quite ready to carry fire in this direction. Primarily what we're looking at over the next 1 to 2 days is more of that, again, southwest flow pushing through the very receptive fuel bed. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate that. Next up, we're going to bring our Air Resource Advisor, Lee Tarnay.
Thank you. Lee Tarnay, Air Resource Advisor. We are dispatched here from the Interagency Wildland Fire Air Quality Response Program, and we come to forecast the smoke and tell you when and where we're likely to get smoke so that you have the information you need to avoid it. And so the idea is that we create a set of tools, both interactive on the web, but also a one-pager that gives you all of the information to know, to plan your day and to understand where the smoke is going to be and how you might avoid it and how bad the smoke is going to be. So it starts with the fire and smoke map. This is at fire.airnow.gov. So, and when there is a forecast in your area at fire.airnow.gov, there's a big box here. And at the corner of that box, there's a, don't click yet, but there is a place to click and you get to our forecast. So today, what we saw is, as Jonathan stated, we have these southwest winds that are manifesting in the afternoon. We have this sort of shield of smoke that sets up in the morning before that. So we get a lot of accumulation of smoke here on the west side, right near the fire. And then in the afternoon, that smoke blows over and hits the greater Tahoe area and then eventually can get into the Carson east side areas, Carson and Reno. And I think this afternoon I was getting tweets and pictures of the wall of smoke that was about to come down into Reno. It looks almost like one of those haboobs that you see with dust in Arizona. And so that's a pattern that's likely to persist with these southwest winds. We're gonna get in the morning a bunch of accumulation of smoke as things are stable, and even some intrusion of smoke up the foothills towards Chico and the other and points north. And then in the afternoon, the wind's going to organize all that smoke, push it over towards the east and towards Truckee, Tahoe, and the Reno area. And so you can access more detailed information by clicking on any one of these sites and looking at the pattern that's likely to happen there. And then you can also click here for a specific forecast for some of the areas that we're forecasting for. We're forecasting for a few different areas. So click there, and you can get the smoke outlook right here. That smoke outlook has a map right here that shows you all of the areas that we're forecasting for, and it gives you an overview of the fires activity, what that means for smoke, and the general pattern that I just sort of summarized there. And then it's got at each tab right down here, if you scroll up a little bit, you can see some details about today. And then if you scroll up tomorrow, the pattern in the morning, afternoon, evening, and then even an extended forecast for the next few days, which looks like that pattern is going to repeat as long as we're getting emissions off the fire with this under the southwest wind. And then there's a table that helps you to understand what these colors mean, and what to do about smoke at those different levels of smoke. And then finally, if we scroll back up here all the way to the top, there is a paper copy that's often emailed out and posted, and a copy of that, if you click on that, shows everything all at once. So that was more the web and interactive version, but this is the one-page version that if you just want to see just a grid of all of the sites for which we're forecasting and the patterns of smoke all at one place, that grid is right there for all of our forecast sites. And then just to remind you, there's that table of what to do about the smoke at each of those levels. And remember, there is a kind of an overall air quality thing right here at these bubbles. But also, the pattern of smoke over the day for the last day, and then some advice about what that pattern is likely to look like for the day of the forecast. So we try to get that forecast out decently early in the morning, so you have some time to plan your day. And this discussion here tells you what that pattern is likely to look like and what it means for the overall air quality, the 24-hour average. But really, if you want to avoid the smoke at a certain time of day, you look for that time of day in the pattern. So that's a little tutorial on how we tell you when and where the smoke's going to be. Thanks.
Great, thank you. They really appreciate that. Important information for folks to know how smoke's going to affect them. Next up, we're going to bring Placer County Assistant Director of Emergency Services, Dave Atkinson.
Good evening, everyone. Appreciate the opportunity to share just a little bit of information with you tonight about some of the services that are available for our folks who've been impacted by the fires. First, just want to remind folks that we have an evacuation shelter at Sierra College, 5100 Sierra College Boulevard in Rockland. We'd like you to enter off of Rockland Road, park in parking lot B, and the shelter will be in the cafeteria in Building J. And in addition to the shelter, there's also showers and feeding available. For those of you who have your RVs or your trailers with you and choose that option, we have a trailer temporary evacuation point, and this is parking only, but there are bathrooms and showers available at the Auburn Regional Park Gym at 3770 Richardson Drive in Auburn. For your furry friends and your other animals that you may have evacuated with, large and small, we ask that you take those to the Nevada County Fairgrounds, 11228 McCourtney Road in Grass Valley. Please enter through gate number 8. And just a reminder, this is drop-off only. That is not a shelter location. They're also asking that we not have any chickens or poultry due to current conditions with avian flu. The Placer County Animal Services Center in the Auburn and the Placer County Government Center is currently at capacity. They will continue to care for the animals that have been dropped off, but unfortunately are not able to take any additional intakes at this time. We've gotten a few frequent requests for information. Thought I'd just go ahead and share a little bit about those, try to answer some questions for folks. Of course, the first one is about pets who had to be left behind. For those of you who unfortunately had to leave your pets behind, we ask that you call Animal Services at 530-886-5500 and press option 2. And Animal Services will be happy to take your information and make arrangements for your animals to be taken care of. Please do not rely on folks who have made a decision to stay behind to take care of your animals. Please contact Animal Services. We've also gotten a lot of questions about prescriptions. Again, folks unfortunately didn't always have the time to get everything they needed, and we understand that. There is actually some law in California that if you are under a mandatory evacuation order and we are under a state of emergency, which has both been declared by Placer County and by the state, that your pharmacy has the responsibility to provide you with an emergency prescription. So we ask that you reach out to your pharmacy where you got your prescriptions filled, and they should be able to help you. If for some reason they can't, we ask that you call 211, and this is the exact same place that we want you to call for any needs that you might have that are non-emergency in nature. We also get a lot of questions about ways to help. Placer County is a very generous community, a very strong community, and so let me just give you a couple options for how you can help. The first one is for those of you who are interested in helping with our animals, the Placer County SPCA is taking donations. Some things they've asked us to mention specifically are sturdy chew toys for dogs, or the Kongs that you've seen, that's kind of the interesting little shape that they put treats in. And then the other is foil roasting pans, which they use for cat litter boxes. There is a full list of the donation needs for SPCA. There's a link to that on our website, which I'll talk about here in just a second. And for those of you wanting to help in that area, I would encourage you to seek out that information. For folks who might be more inclined to make a monetary donation, we'd like to encourage you to donate to the Placer County Community Foundation. They have been great partners in past incidents and will be doing so again. There is a link to their information on our website. And at this point, let me talk about websites. So the first one is readyplacer.org, which they have on the screen here. And then if you were to click on this little red box right here, that'll take you to our incident page. And all the information that I just talked about is listed here. I know we passed out a lot of information here just now. So please feel free to go to this website. It has all this information. We have a team of folks who are constantly updating it to make sure that you have the best and most current information. If you don't have access to the web where you're at, you have the option to call 211 in Placer County. And there's a team of operators there who have this exact same information and more that would be happy to help you meet whatever needs that you have. And I'll be available afterwards for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Really appreciate that great information out there. So next up, we're going to bring up Placer County Sheriff Lieutenant Josh Barnhart.
Thank you and good evening. We appreciate the opportunity to come speak with you this evening. I'll start with our staffing. Just give you an update. Right now we have 22 Placer County Sheriff's personnel assigned for roving patrols. In addition to that, we have 18 of our allied agency partners assisting us. So far, we've made one arrest in our evacuation zone of Todd Valley. Concerning evacuations, again, please refer to the live map that is located in the link to our placersheriff.org, or go to our social media platforms and click on the link. Also, if you have not signed up for notifications, just in case you haven't, please sign up for Placer Alert. That can also be found at placer-alert.org. Now, referring to the map, the evacuation zones or evacuation orders continue to be in effect for 14 zones and evacuation orders for 4. As you can see, the purple area is the fire. The area outside of that are our evacuation order zones, and the yellow are the evacuation warning zones. Again, please refer to the map for further on that. We've had some questions about permission to stay in the area of the evacuation order zones. Again, we'll remind our citizens that have not left the area in those zones that you are obviously able to stay in your house, but we cannot have you roaming the evacuation order zones. So we ask that you either stay home or evacuate the area as others have. I'd like to close with thanking our partners in CalFire, fire personnel in general, and law enforcement, and the community for your continued patience and endurance in this situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Really appreciate that. Next up, from El Dorado County Sheriff's, Sergeant Alex Story.
Thank you. Hello. My name is Alexander Sori with the El Dorado County Sheriff's Office, and I'm the Public Information Officer. I'll start off with the map. So we'll talk about it. Nothing's changed for us in terms of warning or order evacuation areas. So it's still going to be the northern county, and then the yellow is the warning. So all that stayed the same. Our staffing for today is 23 El Dorado County Sheriff's Office personnel, and then 20 mutual aid. So we have a total of 43 dedicated to the fire. Their primary job out there is to protect life, and then the next after that is property. So that's what they're doing. They're there just in case we have evacuations or anything of that nature, and they can respond quickly. We made 7 arrests total so far. That's 2 more today. We believe all these arrests, all these people were there to victimize our community, so we arrested them. Public information, still just a reminder, county website and our social media page. As far as getting the evac notices on your personal phones, you can sign up at ready.edso.org. And then, so we've had a question about whether or not permits are going to be issued to get back into evacuation ordered areas, and the answer is no at this time. We're not issuing any permits. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant. Appreciate that. Next up, we're going to bring our respective CalFire unit chiefs up.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Estes. I'm the CalFire unit chief for the Nevada Yuba Placer unit and the Placer County Fire Department fire chief. My partner and I are going to bring this back to a little bit of the local level with all the great information provided tonight from our counterparts. When this fire started on the evening of September 6th, and we entered into unified command with the U.S. Forest Service and the Placer County Sheriff's Office that first evening, our goals, our mission, and our objectives that were established have not changed to this day. It was and will be and will continue to be the protection of life and property, and to restore normality back to the communities in and around Forest Hill. And I'm really proud to say that because of the integrated emergency services environment that we work in Placer County between our sheriff's officers partners, the Forest Service, and most importantly, our allied fire agencies and emergency service agencies from cities and special districts around Placer County, we launched an aggressive initial attack that really, like I said, focused on the protection of life and property, and continues to this moment. And the result of that, as Chief Hack said, we've had local battalion chiefs, local assistant chiefs from the Nevada Yuba Placer unit integrally involved in the command of this incident from day one. They've been on every bit of ground in some of the steepest country we have in our county. And the result of that is, as Chief Hack said, we have direct fire line established from Baltimore Mine to the American River. The forward progress of the fire in Placer County has been stopped to the west, and we are securing that, and we will maintain that security of that fire. The entirety of the fire line underneath Forest Hill from Baltimore Mine east to Baker Ranch has been secured. We have fire line either direct fired to dozer line or the road systems along the canyon rim, the entirety of the community of Forest Hill. And I'm really proud of the efforts of all our allied agencies the sheriff's office, and mostly I'm very proud of the community members in and around Forest Hill and Todd Valley and the entirety of Placer County. Without your cooperation, your flexibility, your patience, and your support for emergency services in Placer County, we could not do that job. One of the greatest things I have is a good partner to the south of me in El Dorado County. And I'm going to turn it over now to speak to a similar philosophy. Unfortunately, with the fire into El Dorado County, I think my partner will share the same philosophy, and I want to introduce the CalFire unit chief for the Amador El Dorado unit, Mike Blankenheim.
Thank you. All right, good evening, everybody. So, yeah, again, Mike Blankenheim, unit chief for the CalFire Amador El Dorado unit, and I don't know that I'll try to articulate our priorities any better than Chief Estes just did. Life and property, 100% top of our list, and full commitment to an aggressive initial attack, which is over now, but that same full commitment to aggressive firefighting until this incident is over. Much like Brian spoke to the communities up on the north side of the river there, that same effort is going in around here in Volcanoville, down to Georgetown, and these areas in here up in Quintet. Same thing. Proud of the fact that we have a lot of direct line in and around these communities up here that we're starting to mop up right now, and you're starting to see some black line in those areas. We do have a challenging piece left here. The Baltimore mine side on the Placer County side does come down to the river and has been burned in. We have line from Volcanoville Road here down into the American River drainage, but we have a lot of work to do to finish that piece of line before we can call that secured. And without a doubt, that's going to be a challenge for us, and that's going to be one of our #1 priorities moving forward. Again, the effort on the El Dorado County side, no different than the effort on the Placer County side. A full commitment and a full team approach that includes all of our law enforcement partners, our local fire agencies, many of them who live in this area in here, and we're working around the clock while their homes were evacuated. Some of them working while they didn't know for sure they still had a home left to go to. So a tip of the cap to those individuals up there. Our partners with the El Dorado National Forest, local firefighters out here doing the work. Full commitment on that. Spoke to it very well. To put it in a nutshell, the priority of coming into a community and restoring the people there some sense of normalcy or whatever that's going to look like for them moving forward is the absolute #1 priority of what we're doing here. I don't live right here, but I live in a town that's very close to here and is very similar to this. We had a fire near my house a month or two ago, and we got the full evacuation experience. Leaving the house, large animals, the horses, all those kind of things with us. I've always understood, always known about the why we're here and why we're doing what we're doing, but I have a whole new perspective on the why, or a personal connection to the why of it. And you've got our full commitment from myself, from Chief Estes, from the probably 2,000 or 3,000 firefighters we have out here with us, that we're going to spare no effort until this fire is done and we have you people home again. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. Next up, we're going to bring our incident commander for California Team 5, Rick Young.
So good evening. I want to start out by saying, I recognize the all-consuming fear and uncertainty that comes when you're asked to leave your home, or even asked to prepare to leave your home, because an event of this magnitude occurs. I want to assure you, we are implementing a very aggressive full suppression strategy with the intent to get you back into your homes as quickly as possible. But it's a process, and there's lots of things that need to occur. First, the fire needs to be lined, and with currently over 80 miles of fire perimeter, all of which needs to be lined, mopped up, patrolled by firefighters that are out there working 24 hours a day, it still takes a lot of time. So I ask you for your patience as we continue to work as diligently as we can to make that happen. And, our commitment to you is to provide you with the absolute most accurate and up-to-date information we can. This is one of the forums that we have to offer that, and we will continue to have this nightly as long as there's a need to do so. So I thank you for your time, for your committing tonight to attend this, get the information directly from us. We're working very closely with the El Dorado Sheriff's Department, the Placer County Sheriff's Department, CalFire, Forest Service, to have a coordinated effort on that. And so the information you get from this incident is the absolute best and the quickest we can get it to you. So continue to do that, and Nathan will talk to you about how to do that and grab that information, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Commander. Appreciate that. Next, we're going to go into our question and answer period. We've got a few questions out there, not a whole lot, but we're going to bring back up from El Dorado County Sheriff's Department, Alex Sori.
Thank you again. 2 questions. So the first one is, will they be escorting any people up soon? At this time, it's still not safe, so we won't be escorting any people up. And then the next question is, will you inform property owners if these arrests involve their parcel? The answer to that is, if we arrest somebody and we determine that you're the victim of a crime, we will contact you and notify you. If we arrest somebody near your parcel and you're not involved, then we probably won't contact you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant. Appreciate that. We've got 2 more questions. We're going to bring back up Operations Section Chief Landon Hack.
Thank you. All right, so we got a couple questions out of the chat. One of them is in regards to determining, or the criteria rather, in determining if a section in a line is contained. When we refer to black line, that's what we're referring to is containment. And with that is our high level of confidence that that portion of the fire's perimeter is not going to escape the established control lines. There's a lot that goes into that that has to do with fuel types, topography, wind flows. But when it comes down to it, we basically are looking at a designated distance from the line, depending on those things I just spoke about, that no longer has any smokes, heat, or ability to cast embers over the established control line, allowing it to once again reignite and escape those control lines. Another question was in regards to involved structures and damage. There was a few questions regarding that. We have damage assessment teams that are out. They're working in multiple areas throughout the fire's footprint. They're collecting that data. They're gathering all that information. And as soon as we have that true numbers and that true information to speak to, then we'll release that information. Right now, we just don't have it. There's areas that they can't get into yet because it's still not safe for them to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Chiefs. That's the questions that we've had for this evening. Thank you for joining us. Make sure that you guys, if you need information, each agency's respective websites, you can find information, their social media accounts, NCWeb, and CalFire's website. Please look at those up if you need information, or check our phone list and you can give us a call and ask those questions. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll see you tomorrow.